I'll take a seat. It's unfair.
Hello there. Another happy landing.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hey everyone, today we're going to cover something I think is really cool, and something a lot might not know about for those who haven't read the Legends Darth Plagueis novel. And for those new here, Darth Plagueis was a Sith Lord, so powerful and so wise. In essence, he was basically Darth Sidious' master, before I get ahead of myself. The two of them discuss Maul, and Plagueis begins to watch a hologram of footage. It's long, but it's rather interesting, so I think you'll enjoy. Here's the passage. Just arrived on the Hunter's Moon, Sidious studied Plagueis as the Sith Lord, and his droid, 114D, viewed a holo recording of a black-robed Zabrak assassin.
You have made him fearsome.
Plagueis remarked without turning from the recording, as the athletic Zabrak cleaved a colicoid eradicator droid down the middle and whirled to cut two others in half. The yellow-eyed humanoid's hairless head bare a crown of small horns and geometrical patterns of black and red markings. Fearless as well, Sidious said.
Still, they are only droids.
He's even more formidable against living beings. Plagueis looked over his shoulder, his eyes narrowed in question. You've fought him in a serious way. I stranded him on Hypori for a month without food and with only a horde of assassin droids for company. Then I returned to goad and challenge him. All things considered, he fought well, even after I deprived him of his lightsaber. He wanted to kill me, but was prepared to die at my hand. Plagueis turned fully to face him.
Rather than punish him for his disobedience, you praised his resolve.
He was already humbled. I chose to leave his honor intact. I proclaimed him my myrmidon, the embodiment of the violent half of our partnership. Plagueis spent a long moment observing the holo recording. The Zabrak's fists and legs were as lethal as his lightsaber, and his speed was astounding.
Who applied the markings?
The mother did, in keeping with rituals enacted shortly after birth. As Palpatine tells him that it was an initiation during which a Dathomirian Zabrak infant is submerged in an oily bath, energized and conjured by the Night Sister's use of magics. Plagueis says it's a peculiar decision, given her hope to send the child into hiding. On seeing the Zabrak's lightsaber produce two blades, Plagueis drew in his breath.
A saber staff, the weapon of Exar Kun.
The prototype was two lightsabers he had wielded pommel to pommel, in imitation of the Iridonian Zaboka. I furnished the knowledge that allowed him to improve on the original design and construct the one he is using, said Sidious. Plagueis watched as droid after droid was impaled on the opposing crimson blades.
It strikes me as unnecessary, but I won't deny his mastery of the Jarkai technique. Again,
He turned to Sidious.
Niman and Teraskasi will never substitute for Dun Mok, but I appreciate that you have trained him to be a fighting machine rather than a true apprentice.
Thank you, Master. Now, this is something that I want to basically explain and talk about, is that Darth Maul was extremely underrated when it came to his speed. Now, while Count Dooku and other dark side users and Sith Lords like Sidious will use the dark side to aid their Force abilities, Darth Maul used it in other ways that we don't always see, and one of them was his speed. Plagueis always found Maul extremely fascinating, and we can tell here that he was trying to hide his emotions as to not give him too much praise, but nevertheless, even for him, he was very impressed with the Zabrak's speed and comfort with a dual-wielded lightsaber, referring to him as a machine. I think a spin-off movie is what we really need, young Palpatine and Plagueis to lead into the events of The Phantom Menace. I would really like to see young Palpatine's story be told, and I hope Disney decides to canonize this book or remake the story entirely. Now, one of my favorite scenes is between Plagueis and Palpatine when they're standing in an open field, and Plagueis is basically explaining to him the concept of using Force Lightning, and that to be able to summon it, you have to be on the receiving end of it first. I think that could be turned into a very cinematic scene in movies. Anyways, thank you guys for watching today's video. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember,
The Force will be with you, always.
Now, fulfill